Welcome to the Taylor Made Tasty podcast. I'm Taylor, retired serial quitter turned goal boss coach, speaker, and consultant. I believe a beautiful life starts with a beautiful mindset. Join me as we amplify confidence, resilience, and actionable tools on the road to quit quitting on you and your vision. You are worthy of your goals, so let's go get there. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Taylor Made Tasty, the podcast. Very excited to introduce our guest today because we are discussing the 7 steps to cultivating unshakable confidence, along with describing the male-female confidence gap and diving into 7 simple action steps you can take to reclaim your inner confidence. My guest today is Dr. Jomana, a university professor, a TEDx speaker, and an ICF certified life, career, and executive coach, along with being an NLP master practitioner. Her niche is specifically self-worth, confidence, and mindset coaching for women. She believes that self-worth and confidence form the foundations upon which most, if not all, aspects of our lives are constructed. She helps ambitious women struggling with not enoughness and self-doubt to reclaim their worth and confidence so that they can live the life as they truly want. Dr. Jomana believes that we can accumulate all the accolades, success, and wealth we think we want, but if we don't feel worthy on the inside, we continue to evade genuine happiness and freedom. Hello, Dr. Jomana. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you, Taylor, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, I am so excited to have you breathe some life into our listeners' confidence. I particularly wanted to talk about cultivating confidence with you because the concept of unshakable confidence, I feel, is just this deep desire with so many, but that becomes the most difficult part, is making the confidence unshakable. And we feel it one day and it's nowhere to be found the next day. So in this conversation, I kind of want to peel back the onion layer by layer. And can you describe confidence just in its simplest form?
Absolutely, Taylor. And may I share with you that I actually asked my sons, who are 10 and 15, what confidence means to them, because I wanted it in that simple form. And my eldest said, it's trusting yourself. And my youngest said, it's courage. And I love that because actually, in my view, confidence is a feeling of trust in your abilities, in your actions, in your qualities, and in your judgment. And the first step in actually cultivating confidence is to have the courage to take the action, which leads to confidence.
Yes. First of all, I just want to say good job, Mama, because they learned that from somewhere. So the fact that they can so eloquently say that is beautiful. Um, and I agree. It starts with a lot of self trust, and when confidence is described as unshakable, what does that look like when it comes to our day-to-day confidence levels?
What a great question, because it's so easy to just say the words like, oh, confidence and have confidence and embody confidence. But what it looks like on the ground is taking action. And it can be big actions like making bold decisions, and it can be small actions like speaking up in a meeting, being assertive in meetings, being able to say what you want, expressing your feelings, your thoughts, your opinions, your beliefs, engaging in conversations, saying no when you want to say no, saying yes when you want to say yes, being decisive. And all of these, what they have in common is taking action.
Yes, absolutely agree. So now that we have this idea of how confidence shows up in ourselves and in our lives, it's interesting to think about how confidence shows up differently between men and women. And I know this isn't
Mm.
always true. There are plenty of men who struggle with confidence levels as well. But what is this sort of female male confidence gap all about?
Yes, Taylor. I agree. It's not that I want to perpetuate a stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did a lot of research before my TEDx talk in 2018, which was about the struggles of working moms and perfectionism and confidence in women. And an incredibly valuable resource was Katie Kay and Claire Shipman's book, The Confidence Code, in which they state men are almost always more confident than women, even when women are equally or more talented. Women lack self assurance, they overthink their mistakes, they think they're less competent than they really are, and routinely underestimate their abilities and their performance. And once you just type confidence gap in Google, and you'll get hundreds of pages that are related to this.
Yeah. So, what is your thought on why why do we feel that way? Why is that so off? You know, it's hard enough just cultivating the confidence within, and then we add comparison on top of that, right? So we're comparing, well, I wish I had confidence like them, or I wish I had the abilities that they have with how confidently they show up. And so, like, where does that start? Where does that gap come from?
Mm. So it is a combination of nature and nurture. So actually, 25 to 50% of our confidence is inherited and based on genes.
Mm.
Um, and our behavior reflects a combination of both genetics and environmental conditioning. So, for example, women in general are more prone to rumination, to overthinking than men, which causes us to overanalyze, which causes us to perhaps doubt ourselves and doubt, our abilities, our decisions, and so on. So we are by nature, perhaps, you know, we overthink. Having said that, I don't think some of your listeners will be a fan. I have to point to the patriarchal culture,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of has silenced us for decades, if not hundreds of years. And this silencing, one way or another, has kind of made it hard for us to actually speak up, to actually take action. And that has significantly contributed to the confidence gap between men and women.
Sure, because for so many, not that it's completely gone now, but there were repercussions when you would lean into that confidence and use your voice. And I definitely think there has started to be a shift to use your voice and be loud and take up space as a woman. But I know that we still have some work to do. And definitely, culturally, it will shift from different culture to different culture. But I agree with you on that. And
Taylor, may I
yeah, go ahead.
add, if you don't mind, even our perception of confidence between a man and a woman. For example, we hear often that men are assertive. And if a woman exhibits those same characteristics, she is likely to be described as aggressive. A
Mm-hmm.
man is considered honest when he expresses his views and opinions. A woman is considered perhaps bold. Not that that's a bad thing, but often it's mentioned in a negative context. A male may be considered passionate. A woman is considered emotional and hormonal. The male may be described as competitive. The woman is described as jealous. So even our perceptions of confidence in men and women are different.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely comes into play. So one of the most exciting parts about me speaking with you that I'm so excited about is that and hey, listeners, now would be your time to grab a notebook and a pen. And because one of the reasons I've been just like jumping out of my skin excited for this conversation is because you are going to share 7 simple acts or action steps that listeners can take to reclaim their inner confidence. And so, can you share those 7 steps with us?
Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure. All right. So, step number one is lower your bar to good enough. And the reason why I say that is because there appears to be a link between perfectionism and lack of confidence. Because when we want things to be perfect, that means we tend to doubt our ability to perform that act perfectly, whether it's writing a proposal, giving a presentation, appearing on a podcast, or whatever it may be, posting content online. And when we have that expectation that it has to be perfect, we doubt our ability. And that self doubt, compromises our confidence. And actually, Taylor, the number one consequence of lack of confidence or decreased confidence is inaction.
Mm.
So, what I tell my students and my clients, and basically anyone who will listen, is that done is better than perfect. Just get it done, and that is better than waiting for it to be perfect. And the reason why it's important to take the action is because there is a link between competence and confidence. And this is what is known as the confidence competence loop. So we think that we have to be confident to take action. We have to, have the confidence to take that step. And actually, it's the action taking that makes you competent that will increase your confidence. And so the more you take action, the more confident you'll become. Sorry, the more competent you'll become, and the more confident you'll become, the more confident you'll be, and then that cycle perpetuates itself. And so it's
Yes.
really important to take action. You don't wait until you feel ready. You don't wait until you feel confident. You take the action, having full faith that that action taking step is going to get you to a place where you have unshakable confidence down the road. Because
That is beautiful.
even the best basketball player, football player, even the most competent and, CEO was incompetent at some stage in their life, right? But
Right,
what got them to
absolutely.
where they are? What gets Cristiano Ronaldo, sorry, this is my son's number one football player, to stand out there on the soccer field feeling so good? It's the repetitive action taking in practice. And you can only do that if you can release the perfectionism and lower your bar to good enough.
Yes. Okay, number 1, lower your bar to good enough. Good. Okay, so number 2.
Redefine the F word. And when I say the F word, it's failure. Redefine how you view failure. Actually, I'm an NLP master practitioner, and one of the presuppositions, which is one of the foundational beliefs of NLP, which stands for neuro linguistic programming, is that there is no failure, only feedback. Every quote unquote failure is actually a step closer towards success. My view is when you take action, either you succeed, which is great, you do a mini celebration, and if you feel you don't succeed, you learn from that experience. And still, that learning experience is one step closer than you were before you took that action.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, so we're redefining failure into feedback. That's number two, the F word. I like it. Okay, and all right, what's number three? I'm taking notes here. I love it.
The shift your internal dialogue. The most important words you'll ever hear in your entire life are the words you say to yourself. So, thoughts and words are so powerful. And we think that words, they describe experiences, but words can also create experiences. And
Mm,
so, hmm,
it's good.
and I know it might sound so cliche or, Ford said it perfectly. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Definitely.
And our minds are very good at finding evidence to prove our thoughts correct. If you think, I can't do this, who do I think I am? I can't speak up in that meeting, I can't give that presentation, your mind will actually start to block your creative ability. It'll block to increase the secretion of the stress hormones and so that you won't be able to do it. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. Yes. I was just going to say that word because it's just like when we're talking about manifesting the good, the same thing can happen when it comes to a negative self fulfilling prophecy that you see yourself in a certain way, and then before you know it, you are that way. And it becomes your reality because you've thought it, you've taken action in that direction, and then it becomes true. And that can happen in a positive way or that can happen in a negative way, like you said, depending on the words and the thoughts and the feelings that you're having.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Okay, so that brings us to four, right?
Hmm. Stop comparing yourself to other people.
Woo!
Only compare yourself to who you were yesterday.
Mm,
And here's the
yes.
truth, Bob. And this might be a tough pill to swallow, even though we all know it on some level. But there will always be someone smarter than you, more competent than you, prettier than you, more successful, wealthier, has a nicer body, has it all together more than you. And that's okay. You do the
Mm-hmm.
best you can as who you are. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. You look at yourself and you look at how far you've come. As long as you're moving in the forward direction, working towards being the best version of yourself, being solid in your sense of self, that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think I like the way that you put that because I think so often it's just about fighting the comparison, but there's almost this ownership that comes with someone's gonna be doing it better. Period. Whatever it is, whatever it is, the looks, the money, the travel, the businesses, all of it. Somebody's just going to be that person. And just like you are that person to somebody else, people could be looking at
Exactly.
you as the benchmark and you're not taking ownership of all the amazing things that you're doing, but that's just, it's like you said, that harsh reality of somebody is doing it better than you, and it's kind of like either you can stay in your own lane and
Mhm.
crush it in your own lane, or you can be focused on these people doing it better than you, and then you're checking out of your own life and checking into theirs.
And let's say you are someone who is prone to comparison. How can you use that comparison as a way to move you forward? Perhaps this person could be a source of inspiration for you.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Watching them means that it's possible. That's how I like to view it. It just, if I'm watching someone do it, then it means it's possible. And that doesn't
mhm.
only mean it's possible for them. It can be possible for me too.
Hmm.
And I also like that, especially with social media, that the more authentic people and genuine people that are out there are also giving you the real story of what it took to get there, right? Yes, there is some smoke and mirrors where it seems like everything's perfect and they got there easily, whatever it is. But you can also learn from these people that you see as, I want to be there, or an ideal person, body, travel, business, whatever it is, that you can learn from them too. Like you said, the
Hmm.
inspiration.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay, are we on number 5?
My favorite, take action. I I guess you could tell that was coming somewhere, wasn't it?
Sure, of course.
Yeah. Look, do not underestimate the power in taking small steps. And the thing is, what often holds us back, especially people who are on this journey of personal development, we want to reach the moon and the stars of this personal development world. And we think we have to like climb so high up, and then we find that daunting. And so we hold ourselves back. And it's just about taking tiny steps towards that. Everything, I firmly believe that everything is possible as long as you break it down into small, actionable steps.
Boom.
And again, I will say, especially when it comes to confidence, in relation to confidence in an ability, confidence in decision making, confidence. So if you don't feel like you're confident in making decisions, just start making decisions on your own. Just start making small decisions. Like I have clients who tell me I can't even order food off the menu without asking somebody for their opinion. So it starts with something as small as, what should I wear? I will choose what to wear. What time should I, do this? Or what should I order off the menu? How should I talk to my partner? Like, often the taking action. That's, for example, with regards to decision making. With regards to confidence in an ability, the only way that you can become confident in an ability is by practicing that skill. Uh, you want to be a better presenter, start presenting in small
Mm-hmm.
groups, present to your family, to your friends, or whatever. You want to, what's a skill that a particular sport, you want to
Mm-hmm.
master a particular sport, you just keep practicing. You want to become confident online. Guess what you have to do? You have to show up online consistently. And
Right.
each time you take that action, that fear associated with taking the action decreases and your confidence increases.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. And kind of going back to your F word, is that we all start somewhere, right? Like taking action, we all start with that small, scary step, and then it gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier, and you get stronger. So it's just it's almost like you said with taking that action, it's easy to feel that paralyzed feeling because you're letting that comparison and all of that and the perfectionism come in, versus taking the action is going to then create that confidence and so much snowballing for you.
And a common misconception is that, you're either born with confidence or you're not. There is some biology involved, as I mentioned earlier, but confidence is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the way you
Yeah.
use it is by taking action.
Yes, 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 yes. Good, good, good. Okay, so number 5 is your favorite. So now we're moving to number 6.
Hmm. Acknowledge yourself. In general, many women do not acknowledge or appreciate their efforts, their achievements, their accomplishments, their abilities. We have, not to generalize, but we do have this habit of dismissing our accomplishments and achievements as I'm just doing. Like, you're such a wonderful mom. I'm just doing what has to be done. You're so competent in the at work. That's nothing. That's nothing. And we dismiss, and this
Mm-hmm.
dismissal is just blocking, you know, the receiving the compliment. And you might think, oh, what's the big deal about blocking receiving the compliment? And this is actually linked to number 7 as well. So I'm going to connect them if you don't mind. It's about accepting praise and compliments. That's number 7, because they're both related to the ability of someone to acknowledge themselves. So when you do something, you accomplish something, celebrate that. Celebrate that with yourself, with someone you love, and share it. And we often have this fear that, oh, yeah, but I don't want to show off, or I don't want to appear like, too big for my boots or whatever. But actually, when I see other women accomplished, that gives me inspiration. That gives me hope that I can do that as well. So you want to share your wins, celebrate your wins, acknowledge and appreciate your wins. This is so important. And what I will say to any woman who says, no, no, I can't do that, too hard. Yeah, yeah, that's just, I don't want to be a show off. I want to be humble me. I will say, speak of your wins and your accomplishments and your achievements then, or the same way that you speak of your quote unquote drawbacks or setbacks or failures. Because it is so easy for us to highlight or to focus on things that we're not good at or mistakes that we make. So many of us, like if you think about evaluations at work, your employer might say, wonderful, hardworking, da da da. However, she needs to improve her organizational skills. And what do our eyes focus on? What do our minds and hearts focus on? Oh, she needs to improve her organizational skills. And we completely dismiss all the other positive characteristics or descriptions, right?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. And I think we're always just so focused on what is the next thing I need to do? What is the next thing I need to change,
Exactly.
that we don't sit with the celebrations, and we dismiss them for sure. So I do want to, if you can recap and say all 7 together, just in case anyone is taking notes, and just kind of
Mhm.
give us the full run through of what all 7 steps are to, this reclaiming our inner confidence.
And yes, I sure will. Do you want to know why I said reclaiming? I specifically chose those words
I would love to hear.
because where we are actually born confident. There is an element of biology, but the majority of us have this inbuilt confidence. And the easiest evidence of this to observe is when you look at babies or toddlers who are just starting to walk, Taylor. When they
Mm-hmm.
start to walk, what do? They fall. What do they do
Right.
after they fall?
They get back up. They try
And they keep
again.
going.
Yeah.
They don't think to themselves and say, oh no, I'm a failure. What did mum and dad think of me? Do they think that I can't walk or do they think that I'm not good enough?
Mm-hmm.
They get back up and they walk.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say we can reclaim our confidence, but it's just been years of conditioning and expectations from around us and the expectations we put on ourselves as well that perhaps have stripped away at our confidence over the years. So, pens and papers ready, the 7 steps to reclaiming your inner confidence. Lower your bar to good enough. Release the perfectionism. Redefine failure. It's not failure if you use that experience as an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. Shift your internal dialogue. Be kind to yourself and, use positive words to describe any effort that you take or make. Four, stop comparing yourself to others. Only compare to who you were yesterday. And if that is so hard, if you must compare yourself to others, try to reframe it in a way so that you use them as inspiration. Take action, take action, take action. Acknowledge yourself, really appreciate your efforts, your achievements, your accomplishments, and accept praise and compliments. Just say thank you when somebody says, "You look nice today." Don't say, "Oh, it's makeup," or "You did well in the presentation." Don't say, "Ugh," and don't act all humble. Just say thank you.
That is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I think that these steps make you take ownership and they're going to take work and consistency, right? And for some, this is a brand new muscle. They're working out, and by definition, cultivating means to develop. So we are
Mm,
developing this unshakable confidence. It's not necessarily something that you have right now, right? We're looking to develop it, and that isn't an overnight practice. So, when do you feel that giving yourself grace throughout this reclaiming and cultivating this unshakable confidence, when does grace come into play?
Taylor, I want to acknowledge you for this beautiful question. I feel giving myself grace looks like appreciating myself for the courage it takes to take action, which is the key step in cultivating confidence, regardless of the outcome. So, what I mean is, if I get the result that I want from taking that action, whether it's speaking up in a meeting, expressing my views, making a decision, if I get that desired result, that's amazing. I celebrate it. I do a little happy dance. But if I don't get the result that I want, if I speak up in a meeting and I'm shut down, if I make a decision and it turns out perhaps it wasn't the best decision, I make mistakes in a presentation or whatever, well, then I'll say I'm careful to frame that as a learning experience. And I'll actually pat myself on the back and say, well, at least you tried
Mm-hmm.
because I did not let the fear stop me. It's better to have tried and, perhaps have that. I learned from it rather than to not have tried at all.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who was terrified of failure, Taylor, I was terrified. I was like the queen of perfectionists. I don't even consider that F word part of my vocabulary anymore. So I know that these steps work, that action taking can be so scary, but each time you take action, it does become easier.
Mm. Powerful. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so Dr. Jomana, I would love for you to share about your business, your practice, and how listeners can connect with you.
Thank you, Taylor. Well, I'm on Instagram. My handle is Dr. Jumana underscore mindset coach. I'm on LinkedIn as Dr. Jumana Alaridi, and I'm on Facebook on Dr. Jumana Alaridi. And my website is www.drjumana.com. And I love to
Beautiful.
connect with my audience. I love connecting and communicating with them. So feel free to drop me a message, and I'd love to connect.
Yes, 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 absolutely. Well, I am so thankful for this conversation, and I know that it's going to be incredibly impactful to creating and cultivating and developing that unshakable confidence that we know is not going to happen overnight. But if we're taking those 7 steps more often than not, then it will become habitual and it will become common practice for us to feel that, right? So
Perfect.
thank you so much for being on the show, and I appreciate you sharing your expertise with all of us.
Well, thank you for having me. And yeah, it was a wonderful experience for me too. I hope your listeners benefited from it.
All right, y'all, it is time for the quote of the episode. This quote is from George Herbert. The quote is: "Skill and confidence are an unconquered army." End quote. Take that into your week, your month, maybe even your year, and elevate that unshakable confidence. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for being in my community. I'm so glad you showed up today, and let's go get there. Look at you, crushing it. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Tailor Made Tasty podcast. My hope is you always leave with a takeaway to implement in your own goal-crushing journey. I would love if you could take a moment to leave a review. And if you're looking for a community of goal boss badasses just like you, be sure to check out tailormadetasty.com/membership.